But don't just condemn this subject without investigating it. It's very, very easy to turn around and condemn things just off the top of your head. We've put a lot of time and a lot of years into this investigation, and I can assure you without any question of a doubt that aliens are here, aliens have been here for a long time, and aliens are in contact with various elements of the military and other countries, diplomats. It wouldn't be prudent to me to say any more at this time, but if you can believe me if you wish. If you don't believe me, well, that's entirely up to you. But I gain nothing by saying these things. Only these are the things that I have uncovered during my investigations.
Over the past few years, our research has taken us to many foreign lands in search of hard evidence for the reality of UFOs. We've visited the outer perimeters of the top-secret facility known as Area 51 in Nevada, claimed by some to house crashed and recovered UFOs. It was interesting that during a time spent in nearby Las Vegas, we managed to film this mysterious object, which hovered in the distance right over Area 51 before shooting away at speed. Just a couple of years ago, while in the airport terminal of Rio de Janeiro, en route to attend a conference in Curitiba, Brazil, a pencil-thin object appeared overhead. It lingered long enough for us to capture these astonishing images. The very next day, while outside the conference venue in Curitiba itself, this unusual object appeared overhead. Was it pure coincidence that such objects should suddenly manifest themselves in front of an invited audience? In December last year, I had the good fortune to attend the first World UFO Forum in the Brazilian capital, Brasilia. The following sequence is taken from the opening ceremony, and perhaps reflects the stature attached to what was by far the biggest and perhaps the most important UFO conference ever staged in the history of the subject.
A esperança deste fórum é que a ufologia se transforme num forte instrumento.
As you've no doubt already gathered, the importance that some attach to the UFO subject overseas is in stark contrast to the ridicule which is often heaped upon it here in Britain and the United States. Nonetheless, UFO researchers continue to plug away. These researchers are looking for something tangible which can be used as material evidence in the great debate. One of these is photo and video analyst Russell Callahan, who combines his professional work with sifting through alleged UFO images that can often surface from the most surprising of places. On the 15th of September 1991, the Space Shuttle Discovery videotaped several glowing objects that floated along just above the Earth's horizon, before sharply changing direction, apparently in response to a flash on the upper surface of the atmosphere. Watch now as two streaks, some say missiles, pass through the same region of space vacated by the object. While NASA maintains the smaller objects were nothing more than ice crystals, a claim dismissed by Dr. Jack Kasher, PhD, another segment of footage picked out by Russell Callahan might yet prove to be more significant.
Jack Kasher, PhD, was intrigued. He wanted to back NASA's claims that ice crystals affected by the rockets and the boosters on the space shuttle were what we were seeing on this particular videotape. He was astonished to find that on 5 separate occasions, not only could he prove that it wasn't ice crystals, but what we're looking at are intelligently controlled craft, leaving and entering the Earth's atmosphere. Those are Dr. Kasher's own claims. But the concentration has been on the streaks across the sky and the flashes. The flashes could well be the booster rockets of the shuttle manoeuvring it in space. But further on, there's another piece of footage which is more interesting to myself, that could actually show something that's not supposed to exist. What we're looking at here is an HL-20. It's a prototype, it's an artist's drawing, it's an impression. It's never been built, so we're led to believe. The concept is for a 10-man shuttle, or a small amount of payload, something that could be launched into space cheaply to feed our impression of Space Station Freedom. It could be a support vessel. Well, take a look at these 3 images. 3 frames from the STS-48 footage. A distant object filmed from what is basically a security type camera, a small black and white camera, not made for TV images, not made for production use, just so that the astronauts on board the shuttle can actually see what's going on inside the payload bay. Well, the payload bay is empty at this point. For 3 frames, we've seen a triangular shaped object coming towards the shuttle. The camera actually follows it, and the light area at the top is actually the atmosphere of the Earth as the arm with the camera on pans and tilts to follow this object. Now we can see clearly a delta-shaped wing and a tail. Don't forget, this is still probably several thousand feet away from the space shuttle. But if we read what the Langley Research Centre told us about the HL-20 and their idea that a small shuttle 29 feet long, capable of carrying up to 10 astronauts into low Earth orbit or small amounts of payload. All very interesting. But the thing that they claimed back in the 1980s are that with its wings folded, it will fit inside the payload bay of the shuttle. Now what more? An empty shuttle bay, a camera. Are we watching the HL-20 or a prototype of the HL-20 coming into the shuttle? Who knows? But these questions have never been answered by NASA or by anyone else. STS-80 is much more recent than STS-48. STS-80 was at the end of 1996. What you're about to see are remarkable images, filmed from the space shuttle and filmed from a remote camera. Not a camera like the one we're using to record this program, but a camera that's made just to see the back door of the shuttle. It's not made for high resolution pictures, but watch what happens. The flashes, lightning strikes, these occur every minute of the day somewhere on the Earth, and of course we're seeing quite an area of the Earth. Plenty lightning strikes, thunderstorms, basically just weather activity. But the interesting point comes with these small objects seem to be wandering about. Controlled objects seem to know where they're going. But watch the centre area of the screen. Something quite remarkable is about to happen. Not only is something remarkable happening, we see an enormous object come through the clouds. If there were people on the shuttle or people monitoring these cameras at ground control, you would think that somebody would say, "Hey, what's going on up there?" Well, watch. In the bottom right hand corner of the screen, 3 objects forming a triangular shape. You think if somebody was watching and they had the facility to zoom with the camera, then they'd get closer. Let's have a proper look. And indeed, that's just what they do. The footage you've just seen was sent to us by the San Francisco UFO Museum. Remarkable as it is, it's been offered to news companies, documentary makers, broadcasters alike. It's yet to be seen on British television. Why?
Perhaps the best visual images of UFOs to surface in recent years has been those taken over Mexico. These extraordinary images brought to this country by UFO researcher Santiago Garza amply demonstrate why Mexico has become the UFO hotspot of the world. Another leading figure helping to bring such images to a much wider world audience is television presenter and UFO researcher Jaime Maussan, among the guest overseas speakers at the 1998 Leeds International UFO Conference. Jaime often comes across all manner of strange and bizarre images while researching the UFO phenomenon, but surely none more strange or bizarre than the sequence you're about to see now. This remarkable footage is claimed to have been taken in New Mexico in the early part of 1997. Watch closely as the UFO descends to the ground. Note the rising dust and debris from impact. Then see how the UFO takes back to the air, only to descend one final time before exploding on impact. Watch the sequence again. Note the clouds of dust, the vapor trail, and also note how the picture remains still, indicating it was possibly mounted on a tripod and that the cameraman knew what to expect. The UFO crash video might be nothing more than images taken of an experimental aircraft or missile that badly malfunctioned, but then again, who's to say? It's yet another piece to add to a puzzle that continues to fascinate and attract the attention of millions throughout the world. Sure enough, the images that we've seen and the accounts that have accompanied them could be construed as hard evidence, but of what specifically? Are aliens visiting our planet? If so, who are they? Where are they from? And why are they here? These are deep-seated questions that will eventually be answered in the course of time. But time for now, at any rate, is against us. We hope very much that you've enjoyed this presentation and are a little better informed as a result. Keep watching the skies, and I hope you can join us again in Volume 2 of UFOs, Hard Evidence.
This was used to try to recover the missing time of this individual, and we got the classic answers from this person. There's no doubt about it being an abduction involved, and it all went from that particular direction.
Now, sceptics and debunkers, of course, would continue to maintain that all such accounts of so-called alien abductions are foolish nonsense. How would you counter these?
Well, first of all, it was the sceptics and debunkers that said that the world was flat for 300 years, despite some of the top scientists of the time saying it was round. It's very, very easy for a skeptic or debunker to turn around and say to people who've done years and years of research, this is absolute rubbish. It's very, very easy. This is what they do all the time. And of course, when we say, well, you prove to me that what I'm saying is rubbish, and they will turn around and say, well, it's not for us to prove that you're right. It's not for us to prove that you're wrong. It's for you to prove that you're right. And so we're always going to be faced with this thing. And as much information as you put before these people, they will do their best to pull it to pieces. But the facts are the facts, particularly if we talk about things like alien abductions, where there's such a wide variety of people being involved in this, and I'm talking about highly intelligent people, and a great many who know nothing whatsoever about the subject. We're getting them all over the world, as you well know. People who are very, very backward are not in touch with the media and things like that, and they're telling the same stories.